welcome back, lovely people. Welcome to part 2 of my day in the life of a frugal girl in the middle of autumn. Now today I'm going to start with a little story. Let's have story time as it relates to what I'm doing, and then I'll explain what I'm doing. So, once upon a time there lived a little girl who had a lot of energy and a big imagination, and she absolutely fell in love with all the gorgeous animal friends of Beatrix Potter. She adored Mrs. Tiggywinkle, adored that beautiful little brown snuffly nose poking out from the bonnet. She didn't even notice the prickles. This little girl longed to be Lucy, to help Mrs. Tiggywinkle on her daily round of delivering the clean linens all over the hillside, especially those beautiful, long, pure white gloves. This little girl also wanted to dive into the river to remove the cup that was continually overflowing as it caught the little waterfall water. She wanted to remove it, to empty it, to watch the process happen all over again. This little girl also thought that the two bad mice, Hunca Munca and Tom Thumb, were outrageously naughty, couldn't understand how on earth they got away with it without being told off by their mummy and their daddy, but secretly liked their naughtiness. Oh, but more than any, she utterly adored Jemima. Jemima Puddle Duck. And one day, when the little girl was about 3 years old, she was taken on a very special trip. She was taken to Hilltop Farm. Now, Hilltop Farm, for those who don't know, is in the Lake District. It's kind of up a hill, as the name suggests. It's the home of Beatrix Potter. Now, surely Beatrix Potter's home, if it's Beatrix Potter's home, it therefore makes sense that Mrs. Tiggywinkle, Hunca Munca and Tom Thumb, Peter Rabbit and Jemima must all live there too. This is my story. This is me when I was 3. Now, I don't remember the incident. I have just the most vague, fleeting, it's like an impressionist painting memory of that path that leads up to the house. There's a path on the outside of the property that leads up the hill, and it sort of winds a little, and then there's the gate into, with the wall, the gate, into the garden of Hilltop Farm. There's a big front garden, and then the farm itself. So yes, what a special treat that we were taken there. And as I say, I was about 3. And I remember that path, the outside path. I remember that path that leads to the gate. Now, being an energetic, gambolling type toddler at that stage, of course I raced ahead of the family, galumphing with my chubby little knees but my already very long legs, gambling up the hillside to get to the farm. I was so excited to meet everybody, and by everybody I mean Mrs. Tiggywinkle, Jemima, Peter Rabbit, all of the gang. So my family were quite a ways behind before I disappeared through the gate of the garden, and then they heard the most blood-curdling wailing sound emanating from me. So of course everybody's first thought was, because I was already showing myself to be a very dyspraxic girl, this scar in my eyebrow I got on my 2nd birthday by going head first down a staircase. So they assumed that I'd fallen, that I'd hurt myself, anyway, that something disastrous and awful had happened. So the family raced up the hill through the gate to find me, but apparently what they found was little 3-year-old me racing from side to side in the garden, sticking my head into shrubs, trying to get into the plants and the borders, in my desperate search for Jemima. And apparently I was inconsolable for the rest of the day, sobbing my little teeny tiny heart out because Jemima wasn't there. Oh, you know what? I think on the one hand I was probably quite a cute kid. I think, but on the other hand, I was probably quite hard work. Keep up with this kid. I was like probably like the what are those breeds? It's like the border collie, Welsh border collie, or cocker spaniels. Those dogs that need they need to be constantly worked or given something to do. Yeah. So I've just called myself a dog. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's my tale of Beatrix Potter. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it, and this job I'm doing, which I've just finished, did that quicker than I thought. I'll give it one more pressing. I'll show you the right way. So, bear with me. It's an odd shape. It's this lovely material. You'll recognise this material because it's a sweet little fabric, isn't it? I have it as my shed curtains, but I have to stand really far back to show you. You can see this one is a very odd shape. So it's a wedge shape. Bring it back over here. I'm going to give it one more pressing. This is some lovely fabric that Auntie Teapot had, and I can't remember how we got onto the subject one day, but I was saying that I wanted to make this curtain for here. I mean, this goes way back. This is sort of 15 years or so ago. Anyway, she had this bolt of fabric and said, would this be any good? And I said, perfect. And so I got this made, and then it was actually quite a few years later I made the shed curtains. But so I had the fabric, knew I was going to make this, and I had quite a bit left, and I sat on it for ages because I absolutely knew that I was going to use it for something else. Brilliant. So this little curtain, because that's what it is, it's yay wide. It actually goes under my counter. You know, like, I can't remember if there's a specific name for it, like you have under a sink, sink curtain underneath. I have this at the far end of the kitchen where the kitchen starts to disappear under the eaves. So the countertop goes so far. I've got the last unit here, which is the freezer, and then I've got this sort of gap with this awkward angle. So I made this curtain for it so that I can use it as its storage. All sorts of gubbins go there, including the water bath canner that I was mentioning in the previous part. Old pots of paint. It's one of those great sort of like, just shove everything in there, draw the curtain, fab. It's had a wash for a reason, but also what's annoyed me for ages is I cut it too deep at this end. It only needs to be about that deep, so I want to re-hem it. I need to take up my cupboard skirt. And this seemed like a perfect opportunity because I've taken it down to wash it. Great, get it washed, get it pressed, take the hem up. The reason I took it down though is because Hunka Munka came to visit without an invitation. Yes, oh, the mouse saga. This blimmin' mouse saga. So, it's ended up with an unexpected bill, quite a big bill, which I will talk about. I'm going to talk about in another video because I'm going to talk about self-insurance. Actually, I'm just going to get, while we do this, let me get my, it's going to be a bit wonky this. I'm just going to go and get my pin box and scissors because it needs to be sort of like, I'm trying to shorten it, but at an angle. But what I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just going to grab my pin box so I can carry on chatting as I do this. Yes, so, right, big deal, talk about that. So I'm just going to grab my pins and some scissors from my little sewing corner. Unplug the iron, because I'm not using that now. This is my stand-up job. I'll do another sit-down job. I've got a big stand-up job later on when this linen comes out of the washing machine. So for now, I'm just gonna, I've just made a fold. Anyway, just gonna pin that just before I cut it. Then I'll tuck it under properly. Yeah, big bill, talk about that in a separate thing. But about 5 years or so ago, I had a mouse scamper across the kitchen floor, in the eaves, right under the roof, like, oh, getting hot from the ironing. And at the time I thought, oh no, now you see, I love mice. I do love them. I had pet mice as a kid. So I saw this one mouse and I thought, oh no. So I thought, oh no, and didn't do anything about it, and then never saw her again. So I think she'd kind of come up here and thought, well, there's nothing to eat, because the food that I do have here it's things in glass jars. The mice can't get to them. There's never a lot of food around anyway. I mean, I have my stored produce, freezer, what have you, but anyway, didn't see her again. And then, was it the end of last year? I don't know, I saw one again, and I thought, oh no, she'll do the same. She'll disappear like the previous one. And I thought she had, because I never had any signs of any sort of damage or, you know, droppings. But she obviously hadn't gone. She reappeared this spring with her mates. Because you know what they say, you have one mouse, you've got 10. Now, you all know, I can't stand killing anything. I can't bear it. Apart from slugs, I have absolutely no compunction about killing them, because it's either me or them. It's as simple as that. It's my food. Get off. I'm going to kill you. Sorry. But yeah, otherwise I really try to avoid killing. So I went and bought, just wondering where to start this snip. It's that old adage, isn't it? Measure twice, cut once. I'm not measuring, I'm kind of doing this by eye from what I know works in the kitchen. Fortunately, because it's, with curtains, when you're measuring for a curtain, unless you're going to have a sort of a single flat panel like you might have with like a sort of a gauzy fabric that you want to just, like a net. But with curtains, you're always going to be doing either 1.5 the width of the aperture, or 2 times the width, or even 2.5. So you've got that kind of fullness, you get the pleating. So this is, I think this is 2 times the width that's under there. So because of all that ruching, it's going to be a bit forgiving on the hem. If I was doing this for someone else, I would unpick the old hem, I'd get it rehung, and I'd pin it properly, hanging in place to make it a perfect job. It ain't for someone else, it's for me. Yeah, so these, back to the mice. So I decided, right, okay, she wasn't going anywhere in a hurry, and I saw a dropping on the floor one day, and I thought, no, I'm not having this. So I bought a live trap, what they call a humane trap. And I think I must have mentioned it on Facebook, because everyone was saying, try peanut butter, they really go for peanut butter. Now, peanut butter is blimmin' expensive, so it's not something that I always have. So I'm just getting on with this while I'm chatting to you. It's not something I always have, but I thought, well, that's a really good excuse for a treat of peanut butter, isn't it? Because peanut butter I like, it's about £3.50 a jar. It is a real treat item. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to tuck that raw edge under and do the most simple, basic hem on it. Anyway, so yeah, I bought some peanut butter, loaded up this trap with the butter. Anyway, she didn't go for it, cheeky little madam. I'd see her just, you know, it's that far end of the kitchen, so in the evening I'd be sitting on the computer doing something and she's like, just whiz by. And then one day, the cheeky little madam, it seems to be a particular kind of bread. I get this, it's a really, and I don't get it often, but oh, I love it. It's a really grainy bread. It's like one of those sort of multi-grain breads, and there's kind of whole bits of grains in there, so it's got a nice chew. That seemed to be what was being enjoyed. And there was one evening where I think I'd got because I really don't, or at that point I wasn't eating very much, and I think I was down to the last sheet of bread, and I think it had gone mouldy because I'd left it so long. So I tossed it in the bin, and lo and behold, there I was sitting at the computer, and I heard my bin bag rustling. I looked in and she was in it, and I was like, right, quick, action station. So I sort of grabbed the bin, like, and tied it up and raced off down the road with it. I'm not going to have it, but then I made a little hole in the bag for her to get out, because I could, anyway, look, the long story short, she or her friends or someone else from her family, her now extended family, have been coming in and out, easy breezy, as you please. The live trap has worked out on, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5. They were quite small, I think they were youngsters, so, you know, trap them, take them for a walk, release them somewhere nice. And, you know, I was like, mice have got a smell, and it was starting to bother me, but, you know, I kept the live trap down. By the way, I was mentioning the peanut butter. The peanut butter didn't work, but a little bit of my bread did work. It's one of those things, it was like, oh, you know what, just live with it, Vivi. Even though it's kind of bugging you, just live with it. Anyway, push came to shove last week. Got up in the morning, went to have my porridge, and there, right in the middle of the kitchen counter, sorry to ick everybody out, right on the counter, there was a mouse poo. And I thought, you know what, that's it, I'm not having it. If the floor is dirty, psychologically I can cope with the floor being dirty because it's just my feet on it. And it's also at the it's not a part of the kitchen I even stand on because it's right in the eaves. But that was it, that was the final straw, seeing a poo on my kitchen counter. Because even though I'm not much into the whole housework thing, and you know, that's mostly about, you know, dust or hoovering, I can't stand like lack of hygiene. So yeah, I'm not into my housework, but I'm clean when it comes to, like I say, hygiene. So the kitchen counters are always spotless. You know, I keep the bathroom, like the sink, the loo, it's all kept really clean. So it's turned into a longer story than I realised. Anyway, I thought, that's it, I'm going to have to get pest control in. Because, oh ghastly, under the kickboard. I thought my mobility has got a little bit worse, and I just can't really properly get down on the floor to get right under and plug any gaps. And that's essentially what a pest control company do. They come and they plug all your gaps with steel wool because the mice can't nibble through it. And then they will usually put down a poison so that if any of the mice do find a way in, they'll get that poison, they'll take it back with them to the nest and wherever the nest is. So I don't feel very comfortable about that, the idea of the poison, but you know, it's not what any wildlife are going to get it, no pets. So that's been done. But what was really cute, I'll just tell you this before I get the sewing machine out. No, I'll tell you what, I'll get the sewing machine out and I'll tell you the cute bit about the pest control guy. So the cute bit about the pest control guy arriving was I was having a particularly bad leg day, and I just about managed to get down to the street door to open it to let him in. And I said to him, look, it's going to take me ages to get up the stairs. Just go on ahead of me. I'll be there in a second. I could hear him get to the landing below mine, and he said, is it here? And I went, no, carry on. I could hear him hopping and popping up the stairs. Now, he came in, so just to say as well, oh, this is like mortifying. Obviously, I took everything out of that cubby corner, get everything off the floor, and they'd said beforehand, don't hoover or sweep up, because they want to see where any droppings are, if there are concentrations of them. So I took everything out of that corner, and it was more that things were dusty, yuck. But also I've got that in a clean part on the floor, that big basket that I keep squash in, and it had about 8 squash in. So that had been lifted up and was on the counter. Also in the kitchen on the counter there were some courgettes, and I think there were some spuds, there were other bits and bobs. But in here, so like those tomatoes I processed this morning, they were all in the window. A couple of days before that, I've got trays of tomatoes even on the floor, because I've also got squash in the window. I just want to ripen them a bit more. There were veggies everywhere, in other words. So this guy, by the time, but I had to take the kickboards off. I don't know if you call them this in other countries, but where your kitchen cabinets, they're nearly to the floor and there's that much gap, and then just set back from them you have that kickboard. So I took the kickboards off so you could get right underneath. Oh, it's so dusty and horrible. I mean, who takes their kickboards off to hoover behind them? I don't know, maybe some people do. It's like, who pulls their fridge out to clean behind it? You might do it like once a year, spring cleaning. Anyway, I was mortified and apologising, and he said, actually, I've seen far worse. But anyway, so he came up the stairs, and obviously he was well ahead of me. So by the time I got up here, he was just sort of standing in this room, and he was sort of just, as everybody does who comes up here, sort of by the window, have a look out the window. Everyone's drawn to the window to see the view. And then I said, oh, it's through here. So I took him in the kitchen, and he stopped, and he said, excuse me asking, I don't mean to be rude, but you have a lot of vegetables everywhere. And I said, oh yeah, it's harvest time, I've been harvesting, and you know, things are ripening, and it's before I process them. And he's like, where have they all come from? And I said, oh, I grow all my own veggies. And he was looking around, and I said, I've got an allotment, because he was doing that like, where do you grow? Explained I've got an allotment. Anyway, we had the most lovely chat about growing, and I could see him gazing fondly at my tomatoes. But he was saying how it just reminded him of he's Hungarian, and he said, oh, it just reminds me so much of my grandma and her gardening and growing. And anyway, we had the loveliest chat about it. And he said to me, it's like you're a farm girl, but you're in London. And he seemed so baffled by the idea of a farm girl in London. But yeah, it was a very, very sweet, charming conversation, and lovely to hear about his grandma. I think there was just a little moment, I could see it in his face, where he looked a little bit homesick, bless him. Oh, anyway, he did a great job, and then the plan is that he'll be back in 2 weeks. So so that's why the kitchen's all changed up a bit, because when I went into that corner behind the curtain, it's that kind of, we all have them, an out of sight, out of mind part of the house kitchen somewhere. It's pretty much my only one. I'm not a clutter junkie. I don't keep a lot of I'm just going to get over it. I've got a little scene to get over. Hang on. And then it'll get quieter. Yeah, I don't keep a lot of stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff. So, and it's, you know, everything's organised, and most things I kind of go into regularly, like the things that get stored in my wardrobe, I'm in there regularly. And otherwise, I don't have any hiding places except that corner in the kitchen. So I was pulling everything out, and after he'd gone, then because I said, please, am I allowed to clean now? And he's like, yeah, you can clean. So literally, this was my job yesterday, was it? I've lost track of time. I spent the whole day, you can imagine how icked out I was about having found that turd on the counter. Everything came out of the kitchen. That kitchen has been scrubbed, disinfected. Everything has been scrubbed before it's gone back in. But what it did was that under the counter bit, it made me think, do I really need my water bath canner? Maybe it's something I can get rid of. Because my mind is very much on packing everything up for moving. Do I really want to pack things up and move them to then get rid of it later on? Obviously, it's what we all do when we are going to move home, is have a sort out, get rid of stuff before you do the move. Because every square inch of van, if it ends up being, you have to have a bigger van or a bigger van or a bigger van, the size of van and the number of people to do the move, that's what adds the cost. Anyway, so it was a really good exercise in kind of going, what have I kept hold of this for? Get rid of it. But there are two things, they're just sitting under the window because they've been cleaned, it's my dog bowls, her feed bowl and her water bowl. They're big, the gorgeous mason cache. It's the classic ceramics maker in the UK for pet bowls. It's that kind of brown, pale brown. The water bowl's lined in blue, obviously, so the dog knows, water. But it's 12 years since Charlotte Bronte died, and I still have her bowls. Now, it's kind of been useful because I've had friends, and I have a lot of friends with dogs. Whenever they come over, put a bowl of water down, put some nibbles. But I think it's time for me. I get emotional now. I think it's time for me to let go of them. Her collar and lead hang next to the door. That I get really emotional. They're not going anywhere, and I know it's daft, isn't it? It's so long ago, but I know that all of you who've ever loved and lost a furry one are probably exactly the same. There's something you've kept. So her collar and lead aren't going anywhere, and when I move house and I have my little hooks by the door for my coat and my bag and my, it was the hook for all my masks during COVID. I keep my torch on one of those hooks, because I'm a girl guide, always prepared. That little set of hooks, when I move house and it goes to my new front door, it's still going to have Charlotte Bronte's collar and lead on. Oh my goodness, isn't it funny how it takes us over? So that's I've been gassing for ages, haven't I? I know there's a load of you out there who like it when we just have a good old gas bag session. I mean, I'm getting on with things at the same time, of course. But yeah, it was one of those things, like the mouse thing, I could have done without the bill. I could have done without the ick factor of, I'm now just going to have to scrub everything. But in a way, thanks Hunker Monker, you did me a favour. A good sort out of that corner, some things identified that I can let go of. A thorough clean, get this curtain fixed once and for all that I've been meaning to fix for ages. It goes onto, one of these, exactly as I have in the shed. But where it goes, there's an angle. So it starts off here under the counter, and then it changes angle and it has to drop down. So here's the thing, in the fabric at this point, there's a seam and an opening. So when let me just get this sewing done and I'll show you what I mean, and then we'll put it back. So I'm just going to thread my wire, but I'm threading up the slopey side first, and then it will become, it will become evident I'll show you in the kitchen. I did put quite a lot of fabric in this. It might be even more than 2 times. Now the tricky bit is, keep hold of the end, because otherwise it's just going to all slide off. Ah, there we go, good. So, oh, you can see there, can't you? You can see that's my seam. So that's the end of the slopey section, and then this section is the flat section to go under the counter. And the reason it comes out there, oh, I think it's easier for me to explain in the kitchen. Come on. Well, this is intimate, isn't it? I'm on the floor. It's going to take me forever to get back up. So, on this bit of on the curtain bit, it's the hooky bit on purpose in order to, up here, can you see? It's the, I'm going to turn that so you can see it a bit better. You see that? It's the eye bit. Now, if I put the eye on the end of here, I wouldn't be able to thread the eye, but with the hook, I can thread and push the hook bit through. So, attaching the bottom end through its eye, then it'll probably flop off. Like I said, because this is the hook, let me see if I can, it's a bit, hang on, should we see if we can do a closer? Oh gosh, I'm operating the the camera with the wrong hand. I don't know how anyway, look, so that's going to actually just go thread through the eye, and now I've got to thread it through. I'm going to do my hand at the back so you can see. Now I've got to thread it through the rest of the curtain. Oh, it is fiddly. Oh, where's my curtain opening? I feel like I'm just poking at a... Where's my opening? Let me find my opening and get back to you. Okay, I think that's got it. And I've just spotted my camera battery is about to die. Quick sticks, Vivi. So get the rest of the curtain on. Wiggle it through, I can feel it. Phew! And then it attaches to another hook. Oh, put a bit of pressure on, there we go. Phew-wee. It's made me go a bit red of cheek. Now I can sort out all my gathers. There we go. All nice, neat, bunched up there, too much. I'll just play with the pleats and stuff, but you can see, I'll flop it down now, you can see it's just a bit of a tidy covering. So the mice kept running along, and you see where that pipe is, that's where they kept coming out, which is why it's still a bit long. Oh, for goodness sakes. There we go. That's where they kept appearing from, so I was really icked out that the bottom of the curtain would have the muck on. Anyway, it was a good job to get it done. It's been needing to do for ages. It's clean. Everything in the kitchen is clean. I wouldn't have been sat on this floor a few days ago, I can tell you. So good, another little job ticked off on the frugal girls list. Yeah, cheaper than, you see, the thing is, some people wouldn't like it, and you can, of course, you can pay a carpenter to make you some doors or covers for this that you could open or even, you know, kind of pull out. But it's going to cost a fortune to get a carpenter, unless you're very good at carpentry yourself. So look, this is my frugal girl way of doing it, getting around the problem. Get your sewing machine out. Right, it's time to put the sewing machine away because I've got my next job to do. Slightly different view of the kitchen. I'm now at my desk because it's time. I'm 2 things at the desk now. 1, I'm going to put a video out, and 2, I'm going to do some shop stock. So, yeah, so I have 3 screens open. I'm in the back end of my YouTube. I'm in the creator part. So I'm going to bring up the video that I want to release today, and then I'm going to, I'm doing this because a lot of people have shown interest and want to know the process and stuff. So I thought, yeah, let's share it today. So I'm just going to copy the blurb, the description, then I'm hopping over into my web page where I've got the title already. I have to do the title separately, pop the blurb in, and then over to my Facebook page, pop the blurb in. Now, once upon a time, my website and my Facebook spoke to each other, so if I put something on the website, it would automatically also go onto Facebook. But I did an update on the website, and that no longer happens, and I can't work out, can't for the life of me work out how to do it. So the blurbs and titles are already on my website and on my Facebook page. Now it's time to make the video go live, and then I have to copy the video onto those. So it's about to go live. One more click and it's live. Save. That makes it go live. So we can get out of that page, and now I go to my home page. My computer's a bit slow. Scroll down a bit. Oh, refresh the page, and it'll bring the new video up. Should do. Here's hoping. Scroll down. So there's the new video, has just appeared, it's just gone live. Hello Vivi. That's the video that's always there. So this is the new video. I don't want to watch it, I don't want to play it, but I want the is it called URL? The address thing, whatever it is. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Oh, video's about to start. I'll put it on pause. So I've copied and pasted, I've copied it. Now I can paste it into my Facebook page. Just while that's thinking about it, it'll take a second. Hop over to my web page, paste it onto there. That'll think about it for a minute, by which time I can go back to Facebook. I'll just check, scroll down. Yeah, I can see it's ready, it's there now. So I can post that. Good, tick. It's taking a little while. Good. Back onto the website, publish, yes. Are you sure? Yes. Now, I'm going to do something else, because I'm now going to go into the shop stuff. I'm going to stay with my website, and I'm now going to go to a different part. I'm going to go into my shop part. Can you see, let me tip you down a little bit more. Oh, I can't. Now, I'm just going to get rid of a couple of things. That's I've just hopped back over to my Facebook page. That's up, that's done. So I'm going to just come out of there for now, log out, get rid of it. I can go back on that, don't need that. So I'm going to leave YouTube floating around in the background for now, because I'll come back to it. So what I'm going to do a bit of shop stuff now. I'll quickly come back to YouTube after this, just to say a quick hello to folk. But yeah, it's shop time. So fortunately, it's getting light again. There was a brief moment, I said I've got one new item to put in the shop. Normally, when I'm doing shop stuff, I'll do it in a little batch. I might have, 6 books, a piece of china, a piece of fabric, whatever. Actually, all the linen the washing machine's about to go mad, I think, in a second. So I'm going to transfer, from my stills camera, the cards in the computer, I'm going to bring up these pictures. Yes, I would normally do a whole tranche of things, 20 items in one go, 10 items, but there's been nothing around, so it's just one item. Let's get it done off the table, as it were. So these are all the pictures I took. There's one picture lingering in there that I took. Oh my goodness, the light. Oh, it's because I went like that and all that light came in, isn't it? There we go. Import these pictures. Good. I think there's 8 pictures of the items, so I can come out of that now. Eject, not reject. Eject my camera card. This is why I normally do quite a lot of stuff in one go for the shop, and it might be that most items I'll probably take anywhere between 5 and 15 pictures of them. So now I'm going to bring up my picture department. So when I do, so it can be that I'm uploading like 200 photographs in one go. So I'll go to all my photos, there's all sorts of other stuff on there. I'm going to click through them, just make sure I'm happy with them. I don't edit them in terms of light and colour. I want to keep them as real and oh, it's so gorgeous. It's a beautiful cake plate or serving plate, but it's kind of got Christmassy type colours, so I thought, oh, it's lovely for this time of year. Yeah, I don't alter the colour or the light, but every now and again, if I think, you know, I've got my thumb in, or, you know, that often happens if I'm holding a book open to show some pages. It just gives me a chance to go in there and crop my thumb out. I look at the detail. Is it clear? Have I wobbled? Is it out of focus? No, I'm really happy with all those pictures. So now, close pictures, I come into my shop program. So this is something that people ask me about. I use WordPress for my website. It's free. However, so I'm just going to go into the add new products, and I'll get a whole page, and it's a big long page to fill in. However, to have this shop, you need to buy what's called a plugin. I say it like that because I had no idea about these things until I started the shop. No idea whatsoever. And the plugin, I use WooCommerce. It costs, it's a once a year payment. It works out about £23 a month. So it's like I'm renting a shop. But with that, it does all sorts for me. You know, it's linked with PayPal. There's an automatic, it's sort of stock. It tells me about my stock levels. Obviously, most things it's just one. It calculates the weight. I have to put the weight. Right, let's start, and I'll show you what I mean. So it's, you know, £23 a month. It's not cheap. I looked at figures for Etsy, and in many ways it's cheaper for me to do this. However, it's a smaller audience, so that's something I have to think about further down the line. So it's asking me for the product name. It's a cake, oh, not a cask, cake / serving plate. Lovely. Then comes the description, the blurb. I have to write all that. I'll do that shortly. I won't keep you here for all that time because it will get boring. The price, I know how much I want to sell it for. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Oh, I'm always worried, but I try and sell things as cheaply as possible, but it still has to be worthwhile, not just in terms of paying for the item, but also the time. I think it's so lovely. I'm going to charge £7 for it. I was thinking £7.50, no, £7. It's tax status. Then it's asking me about the inventory, so this is where I fill it in to say I have one of them, and I check a box to say manage my, manage my stock level. So that if it's something that there's multiples of, like say with fabric, because I've got more meterage than I'm selling in one go, it will warn me when I'm getting low, or like with this, when it sells, it will tell me it's gone out of stock, so then it means I come back into the program to take that out of the shop so no one else tries to buy it and gets disappointed. So the stock level. Shipping, so I need to put in the weight of the item plus the estimated weight of packaging. So that's going to be that. That's that bit. Then it's asking me for product image, so that's when I go back into I have to go back to the computer, as it were, to select all these pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pictures today. Open that. This bit takes a little while for all the pictures to upload, so it's usually at this point where I would normally have all the items next to me and I'm weighing and doing this. So as the pictures upload, because it's also a way of keeping moving, because if I sit still for too long my knees seize up. So by way of keeping moving, at this point that's when I would go to a different table where I've got all my bubble wrap and all that kind of thing, get it wrapped up and put it into the storage where it lives until it sells. By the time I come back to the computer, all the pictures are ready, so I select my main picture, brilliant, and then so that's called my product image, and then I go to my product gallery, and this is where I can do all the little photos showing more detail, which if you go to the website, although they're little pictures, I don't want to do it in that order. Hang on, let's change the order. That order, then, didn't have my finger pressed down. Right, that one, then that one. I lost my train of thought for a second. So I add all my gallery images, I select the category it's going to appear under, so it's going to be in the kitchen and beyond, and then I publish it. But obviously the thing that takes the time, the uploading of the photos takes time, but then it's the description, because that's where I need to say, obviously say what it is, what's it made from, are there any faults with it, you know. I think that's the thing with selling online, you have to be really, it's getting so noisy, I'm sorry, you have to be really, really, really scrupulous about naming every little fault there is, because even if you photographed it, and I'll quite often say, I'll name a fault and I'll say, see last photograph. Even though you've got photographs of the faults, quite often people just don't see it or don't register it. Then they get their item and they say, but there's a chip on the rim, in this case for China, there's no chips on this. Or there's a stain in the corner. It's like, yeah, I did show it in the photograph, but they just didn't see it. So you have to describe it as well. So what's it made from? What faults are there? The measurements, the diameter, the height, you know, things like tins. Yeah, the height, because someone might be wanting to put it onto a shelf, and is it a small, is it quite, you know, you get the idea. So that bit can take time, which is why I'm not going to keep you here with me as I do it. Now, I'll get that finished, but goodness me, it's nearly 2:30. This day is racing away. I'm chuffed though, I'm getting loads of bits done. So now I'm going to go make some food because I'm getting hungry and I've got nothing ready made. So I will make a soup, I will overmake so that there's maybe 2 or 3 portions for, well, a portion or 2 for the freezer and a portion or 2 for the fridge, because I've got a busy day every day. So I'll get the soup made and then I'll sort out for the freezer, probably do the washing up again, by which time it's going to be about 3:30. All these linens for the shop, that have finished, so I'll start pressing. That's probably going to take a good couple of hours because I don't iron much of my own stuff anyway, but if I do, I'm a bit sloppy. When it's shop stuff, I'm so careful. So that's going to take till about 5:30 or so, and then I've got then, because I'll have been stood up at the ironing board, a sit down job. I will do my September accounts because everything is in now for September. So that will probably take me an hour. That'll probably take me through to about half. The reason I'm telling you this is because I'm not going to show you this next bit of stuff because it's boring. Soup making, ironing, accounts. That'll take me through to about 6:30 or so. Then I'm going to start cooking again. I'm going to cook for supper and a bit for the freezer. Get all my cooking done, eat, get washed up, clean the kitchen up. It's done for the day. So that'll be 6:30, 7:30, maybe about 8. So I think what we'll do is we'll reconvene on the sofa about 8 o'clock because then I can start in on some on my lap evening, slightly more chilled jobs. Alright, so I'll see you later when it's dark. I'm going to get this finished and then I'm going to put something in my belly because it's growling at me. See you later. Eek. I just had a quick look in the camera and realised quite how long this video is. Pardonnez-moi. I do like chatting. Anyway, so what I thought is rather than come back tonight when it's dark, besides I'll be so knackered by then, I'll just quickly say so that my sitting down sofa jobs will include, I've got a big pile of cardboard here, It needs to have all the sticky tape removed. That's for covering empty beds. I don't want all the sticky because it's plastic, and as this all rots, I'll end up with fragile written through all my beds. So it's a bit of a fiddly job, and so that's why it's one of those fantastic, you know, it's 8, 9 o'clock at night, it's dark, put the radio on, put some music on, put a DVD on. I won't even notice I'm doing the work. So that's one little thing. And then I've got 2 of these. This one is Coco de Pampol, and then this one is a Right Royal mix. I love this bowl. This Auntie Teapot gave this to me. It's gorgeous. It's not worth a penny though, because the whole of this handle at one point has been cracked off and glued back on. I don't care. I just think it's gorgeous. I love my bowls. I love all my vintage ceramics. It just makes life more beautiful, doesn't it? So obviously I'm going to be podding. This is a mix from I think it's Madeira Maroon, Runners. There might be some Coco Sophie. The thing is, they will all be so different when I pod them. I'll know exactly what they are, so I can separate them. The others, like I say, that's all Coco de Pampol. Now, ostensibly this is about seed saving, so I'll get them thoroughly dried, they'll go in the freezer. I've talked about it before, won't carry on today because it's a long video. I'm speeding up to get to the end. Honestly, I am. I will do another check. I checked in the shed the other day for my seed stock, my jam jars of all my bean seeds on the shelves, and I sort of said to myself in my head, I've got enough seed. I'll double check. But if I've got enough seed, A, I could give some seed to friends, or B, I will just keep these, and instead of them being beans for seeds, they'll be beans for eating, and I think the latter is more likely because it's such a bad bean harvest. I don't generally like using beans from dried because it's more faff, but this year it's definitely going to be, well, it's highly probable that most of these are going to end up being eaten. So that's my nice little quiet sit down jobs for the end of the day. But I'm not going to get to the end of the day with these lovely little jobs if I don't carry on with the rest of my day. So that list I just mentioned to you now, food, ironing, accounts, food, that's all got to happen in the next 5.5 hours. I've got 5.5 hours to do all of that before I get back to the sofa. Yay! I'll do it. I know I will. I always do. So thank you so much to all of you for hanging out with me again for another day in the life of the frugal girl. And I think, yeah, I think that's been a good, with those 2 videos, a good example of being frugal, getting on with things, loving life, and making the most of every day and every harvest and every opportunity. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you again. I've got to slow down. I will see you all again really soon. Not sure where. Maybe in the kitchen, maybe some cooking. I don't know. We'll see. But until then, please look after yourselves. Stay well. Be lovely to one another. Be lovely and kind to other human beings. Cheerio.